The Minnesota Wild in 2023-24, they were extremely disappointing. They were 6th in the Central Division at 5v5. They were 20th in Corsi for percentage, 14th in expected goals for percentage, and 17th in scoring chances for percentage. They were very middling in terms of shot and chance generation. Their 5v5 save percentage was 16th in the league at .905, and their even strength shooting percentage was 14th at 9.65%. Their power play, 10th in the league at 22.7%. This is what I want to talk about here, though, because I am obsessed with the Minnesota Wild power play. Yeah. Without a locked-in power play quarterback, this team on the power play was first in Corsi for per 60, first in scoring chances for per 60, and first in expected goals for per 60 on the power play last year. Their shooting percentage, 28th. So there is some serious positive regression coming for this power play. And maybe this is a hot take, and I don't know if we'll do a hot take episode this year. I don't know that we'll have time, but the Minnesota Wild could be the best power play in the league next year, and I would not bat an eye one bit. And that is shocking for a lot of you to hear, because historically Minnesota's been more of a defensive team, but the offensive players at the top of this lineup are so good, and I'm so high on each and every one of them. I just think that this, and you'll see it in my projections, I'm maybe a little bit too high on some of them, but we've all got some blind spots, but I do think that those numbers on the power play are crazy impressive, and there is reason to expect them to be even better than their 22.7% conversion that they had last year. What are your thoughts there, man? What do you think when you see those numbers?
Yeah, just I've always viewed the Minnesota Wild as like mediocre. I barely watch Wild games, but I don't know, maybe it's their logo or something, and your numbers here with everything kind of reinforces that. But it's shocking to hear you say that about the power play. They have nowhere to go but up with those kinds of numbers. So that's something that you got me a little bit excited for these guys. Kirill Kaprizov, of course, is the engine that runs that show, and it makes sense. He could have had a lot better of a season, and if some things clicked a bit better, maybe you would have seen those power play numbers not be so crazy. So yeah, looking forward to seeing your projections though. This looks fun.
Yeah, man. Just you wait. There are some eye poppers there. All right. So in terms of key departures, Alex Goligoski retired. That was pretty much it. Their key additions: Yakov Trenin, Travis Boyd, Jacob Lauko, all guys at the bottom of the lineup, or even guys that might not even be in the lineup every night. So nothing with fantasy relevance. Their goaltending: so Philip Gustafsson last year got 43 starts. He was the 1A in that tandem, but he struggled mightily. He had a .904 even strength save percentage, looked really, really tough, and honestly was a big reason that they struggled last year. He just wasn't able to stop a puck. I am pretty high on him to bounce back. I know Nate mentioned in his stream last night that he is a guy that he's targeting. I think that that's worth looking at, because they're the second half of their tandem, Marc-Andre Fleury, while he did perform better than Gustafsson at 5v5, he had a .918 even strength save percentage. He's getting older, and I think he's playing this year to get to pass. Who is it that's second on the all-time games played list? I can't remember who it is, but he's very close. Will probably move into second. It might be Roberto Luongo. I'm not 100% sure, but he had 36 starts last year. Jesper Wallstedt, he's waiting in the wings as well, but I see, unless there's an injury to one of these guys, I don't see him getting into many games. He struggled in his 3 starts last year, so they probably want him down for a little bit more seasoning. But I think the plan long term is for Fleury to retire at the end of the season, and then Wallstedt to be the second half of this tandem with Philip Gustafsson next year. But for now, I think Gustafsson is still the 1A and Fleury the 1B. Do you have any objections, Gugsy?
No, I like that. There's times when Fleury got 2 or 3 starts in a row, then he'd blow the last one, and then they go back to Gustafson. But I think Gus will take the lion's share until he gives the coach a reason not to give him the lion's share.
100%. I 100% agree with that. All right, let's go to scheduling quirks. What do you got for Minnesota here, buddy?
Yeah, we got for the Wild, they got 12 back-to-backs. That's tied for 16th in the league. 29 off nights. That's tied for 17th. And for playoff weeks 22 to 24, you're going to get 11 games with 7 off nights. And for weeks 23 to 25, you'll get 12 games with 7 off nights. Not too shabby.
So I have some alarm bells going off because from weeks 22 to 24, they have the best schedule unequivocally in the NHL. They have 11 games, 7 off nights. And then in weeks 23 to 25, they're close to the best. 12 games. I think the max a team plays over that stretch is 13, and then 7 off nights. So that is incredibly ideal over that stretch as well. So we mentioned on previous episodes, I'm not really thinking a ton about playoff schedule when I'm drafting, but when it's this extreme, it is something to keep in mind at the very least. If you're picking between two guys, maybe you lean a little bit more towards a Minnesota Wild player because, I mean, that's incredible, an incredible playoff schedule across the board. So everything else is pretty middling. Nothing like they have a decent, middling amount of off nights. And I don't know. I'm still pretty excited about a few of these guys here. Power play projection. Kirill Kaprizov is a lock. I believe Matt Zuccarello is a lock. Matt Boldy is a lock. Joel Eriksson Ek is a lock for me. And then on the back end, this is where there are some question marks. I still am probably leaning towards Brock Faber.
Yep.
He's the young guy. I don't see him really being the power play quarterback of the future, but he probably is that guy this year. Jared Spurgeon is also healthy. He has been the quarterback in the past and does have a little bit of offensive upside, so that's a guy that I definitely would be watching out for. They also, even when the power play was excelling, they weren't necessarily locked in on keeping Faber in that spot. They had guys like Declan Chisholm playing last year, who's Declan Chisholm? I remember us talking about that on the show. Who else played back there? Kalen Addison, who is now on a PTO with Ottawa. They dealt him to San Jose. There were a lot of names that played in that position. Faber played the most, but it seems like they may not be 100% sold on him being that guy. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think Faber's gonna take the priority in cracking power play one, but for sure, I mean Spurgeon's been that guy for so long. Spurgeon's their captain, and he's healthy as far as we know so far. So I think Faber might get the first priority, but his leash might be a bit short.
Sure. All right, let's go to forward projections. So, Gugsy, read them off. Let me know what you think here.
Yeah, Marco Rossi. We're getting him for 22 goals, 27 assists, and 49 points. The big dog, Kirill Kaprizov, 51 goals, 63 assists, 114 points. That's coming in with 310 shots and 45 power play points, which is just great for where his ADP is going. Matt Zuccarello, 28 goals, 57 assists, 85 points with 38 power plays. Joel Eriksson Ek, Jeek, 32 goals, 37 assists, 69 points. Very nice. With 281 shots and 159 hits. And a bunch of faceoffs. That guy loves winning faceoffs, so I'm a fan of that. Yeah. Matt Boldy, Apples and Geno's darling, Matt Boldy, 35 goals, 48 assists, 83 points with 33 points on the power play. Marcus Johansson, 14 goals, 26 assists, 40 points. And finally, Ryan Hartman with 22 goals, 21 assists, and 43 points.
Yeah, man. So I think the big eye popper for most people here is Matt Zuccarello. So I got him for 85 points. That's a lot. And honestly, that probably is too high. But the reason that I have him there is because of how I feel about that power play. I do think that they're going to improve. I do think that they're going to be killer. I think that he's going to be on it. That being said, if they feel like they need to give Marco Rossi more offensive opportunity, Matt Zuccarello might be the guy to come out on this unit here. So I don't see that necessarily being a thing just because they've had so much success. But Zuccarello is old. So yeah, again, that's probably pretty eye-popping to some people, but I did note here 38 power play points is what I have him projected for. That's incredibly that's like that's almost half of the points that I have him for this season. So yeah, I think that this is a bullish projection. I think I'm not sure how how I feel about it, but like I don't want to say like I'm gonna die on the hill of the Zucchini Man being at 85 points, but I am higher on him than some other people are. So what are your thoughts there on Zuccarello?
I think you're going to look like a genius in 8 months when our listeners come back to this episode and see how high you have him projected. But no, regardless of that, yeah, the only thing is father time. He's getting up there in age, and Marco Rossi probably wants that deployment. You know, he wants some big boy points. But no, that makes sense. If what you say about their positive regression on the power play even rings a little bit true, yeah, Zuccarello should be one of the biggest benefactors of that.
I also have him projected to play with Kirill Kaprizov on the top line, and that may not necessarily be a thing either. They at times played Matt Boldy in Zuccarello's spot. If that's the case, I think Boldy's ceiling goes way higher and Zuccarello's plummets. So there's a lot of I mean, there's a lot of variables there, but I think that's probably Zuccarello's ceiling. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is he's probably not going to get any more than that. Almost definitely not. But I don't know. I'm feeling high on this Wild team, at least in terms of fantasy. I'm not sure about their outlook for the season. I think they'll push for a playoff spot again. But Ryan Hartman, I did project him because he had historically played in between Kaprizov and Zuccarello, so maybe they try that again at some point. I don't see that happening just because I think Rossi is ready to play in that top six. Unless he gets into Marcus Johansson's spot on the second line or something, because I do think he's more productive than Johansson. I don't think Johansson's really a fantasy relevant player, but I put him there just because I projected him just because he plays in the top six. That's really the only reason. So, anyways, I've rambled on for long enough about the forwards. Let's talk about the defensemen. Talk about the two guys that we had mentioned as potential power play quarterbacks.
We got Brock the Rock Faber for 8 goals, 39 assists, and 47 points. 153 blocks coming with that. And the captain, Jared Spurgeon, just Spurgeon all over the place. He's got 12 goals, 34 assists, and 46 points with 157 blocks.
Yeah, man. I'm planning on creating like a Blake Creamer soundboard that we can play on Rolling Lines. Please. I think that would be fun. It's going to take some work to edit, but I need to. And he's got some ADP battles and cream of the crop episodes coming out, so I'm going to listen closely to some Blake-isms to try and cut them and put them in as a soundboard here. But yeah, Jared Spurgeon, I think people are going to be pretty surprised about the numbers that I've got there for him. That's also probably his ceiling. I have him projected for a 50-50 split with Brock Faber on the power play. I don't necessarily think that that's going to be the case. But when I did my projections, that was kind of the vibe that I was feeling. We don't know yet, but yeah. Anyways, I think that in terms of, I have Brock Faber as a punt, which may come as a surprise to some people, and that is mainly because of his ADP. He's going in Apples and Genos leagues at 91 and in Yahoo leagues at 105, and I just don't know.
Yeah,
that especially if he does share power play time with Jared Spurgeon, I just don't know that he's I just think there's probably some other guys in this range that I'm a little bit
Definitely.
more happy with.
Yeah.
So that is the reason that I have Faber there. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't feel like it
No.
is.
No.
My sleepers. Yeah. Do you feel the same there? Does that make
Y-
sense about
Yeah,
Faber?
no, I 100% agree with that. You get Mike Matheson in that exact same spot, and Mike Matheson is so much better for your fantasy team at so much better value.
Yeah,
But I had no idea Faber was
absolutely.
going that high. That's way too high for me. So he's definitely not going to be on my teams.
Yeah, for sure. And then in terms of sleepers, Spurgeon is not being drafted in Yahoo leagues. In Apples and Cheetos leagues, he was being drafted at 257. So that's a guy that is just not on anyone's radar right now. So that I would definitely be taking a flyer on him if you need a defenseman at the end of your draft. Marco Rossi is another guy. Again, we talked about contingent upside there. If they decide that he could get some power play time, or if he centers Kirill Kaprizov, which is a distinct possibility, I think that he has a higher ceiling than what I have him projected at as well. And then my top three targets are Kirill Kaprizov. So Kaprizov, the reason why I've got him here is obviously I love Kaprizov, but his Yahoo ADP is 14.7. His Apples and Cheetos ADP is 7.2. I have him pretty much locked in with my projections and the way that I've done my rankings in a lot of formats. I have him locked in as like my number 6 guy behind the clear-cut top 4. You've got McDavid, McKinnon, Matthews, Kucherov. That's pretty much your clear-cut top 4. I have Pasternak slightly higher than Kaprizov, but then I have Kaprizov locked in at that next spot, which is where I'm probably going to be taking him in a lot of cases. So if he falls any further than that, I think he brings value for you. So that's why I've got Kaprizov there. What are your feelings on that?
No, I'm just wondering, would you take Kaprizov over Draisaitl? Let's say points league.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
Yes.
That's a beautiful. That's nice. I like that.
I think
Spicy.
that Kaprizov could be ahead of Draisaitl in points, and then in terms of peripherals, he just absolutely crushes him. Like he shoots more than 100 like about 100 shots more than him every single year.
True.
So
Yep.
that's really the big factor there. So yeah, I think he does edge out Draisaitl. Draisaitl does have the dual eligibility, so that he's got that going for him. But I see their power play production being potentially very similar.
Right.
Like if Kaprizov gets to the 45 power play points that I have him projected at, he could like that could be better than Draisaitl. So
Totally.
yeah, so I that's why I'm banking on Kaprizov this year. I'm pretty much all in on him.
Lots of value.
Matt Boldy is my next guy. He's obviously been an Apples and Genos guy for a long time. In Yahoo leagues he's going at 72, so I would smash Matt Boldy at that point. In Apples and Genos leagues at 39, that's also pretty solid. That's in the 4th round. I think that I'm pretty happy picking Matt Boldy at that point, especially with left wing, right wing eligibility. And his ceiling is very high. I think if he plays with Kaprizov, he could be like up in 90 point, like hitting 90 points, which is, if you're getting him in that range, that's massive value. So I think Matt Boldy is a guy that you should be looking at very carefully. And then obviously I talked about Jared Spurgeon. He's not even being drafted right now, so that's a guy that I would be targeting at the end of my draft. Because there is potential for him to maybe be better than everyone is thinking.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone else that you would put on this list, my friend?
Let me see here. You know, I'm especially excited for Boldy. Boldy was my main guy. Him at such a value of an ADP has me super excited. I'm gonna reach a couple rounds early for him, especially in leagues where I know I got buddies listening to podcasts like this one. The secret might be out if your opponents are more like on the ball with this type of thing. So definitely, I wouldn't be waiting for the 7th round on picking up Boldy. I'd reach quite a bit for him. I think that guy has huge value. Even if as you said, you get him in the 4th round, he's still going to give you value. So that's an exciting player.